at least, but I do want to really highlight the fact that once he gets level 6, probably one of the strongest supports with the least amount of farm. I think Sinner was talking about Shadow Demon the other day when he mentioned heroes that can do a lot with a little. Shadow Shaman is pretty much in that same kind of thinking. And plus, if you do manage to get that level 6 unobstructed, you get a few tier 1 towers, you can get your arcane boots. He can even be used as a blink initiator, similar to what you would want a Lion for example. And he does have an instant cast Hex, which can be very good against Puck. So it's kind of like the hybrid between having a Lion to disable the Puck and also having more push potential. So I do like the pick. And the laning phase so far from VP, I think, is the weakness, though. Because between Shadow Shaman and Rubik, two fairly immobile supports, when you're playing up against Spirit Breaker, Puck, who's insanely mobile, and now an anti-mage coming out from Na'Vi. So the mobility factor, I think, for VP is going to be hurting them a little bit, if anything.
Okay, well, let's see if the last pick from the side of VP is able to kind of, fill in that gap that you say that they're missing. And still looking for what we'd expect to be... Well, I guess Phobos is here. They could always run the Bristleback on the solo. Then I guess that's the great thing about the core so far is the VP, they've got a lot of versatility and they can swap it around if they feel the need to, now that they've seen Na'Vi's full hand.
I think you kind of have to try to punish this. The problem is, again, Rubik Shadow Shaman supports, they're not necessarily known for being the best zoning hero, but maybe the fact that it's going to be a Bristle versus an AM matchup in that aggro lane could be enough, or maybe they just put the Leshrac in the tri lane anyway and say, look, we'll go aggressive against what looks to be right now Anti-Mage, Winter Wyvern, and Shaker, and just say that because we have triple ranged, we should be able to outfarm in that lane. But there still is potential for Na'Vi to get kills, because Spirit Breaker can just charge in from another lane, or even like TP in, and then charge to start a fight, and you could see a lot of havoc break out in that tri versus tri situation. So VP also could just decide to dodge, prioritize getting their Shadow Shaman level 6 instead, and then try to pressure throughout the mid game and make sure that the AM doesn't get his item timings as fast by just restricting the map control. Not necessarily keeping him down in the lane, but just pushing non-stop once they get their core items up.
Yeah, indeed, controlling the map against Divorce Anti-Mage is going to be pretty key for the side of VP. Still, just thinking very carefully about this one last final pick for the side. I'm trying to think back to see what Phobos has played. It's going to be the Stalker. Okay, so let's have a look how they're going to unlock this. So it is going to be G in the mid lane on the Bristle, and they will be taking the solo lane Night Stalker by the looks of it.
I really like this last pick here from VP. It kind of solidifies a few things for them. The Puck and the AM together, very mobile heroes, hard to lock down. Shadow Shaman is very slow for a support, so you would be requiring Lil to get a lift into potentially a Hex and a Shackle. The problem with that is you already have Shaker stun, then you have Puck, Coil, Silence, and a Spirit Breaker to be able to interrupt, so getting that channel off in a team fight would be a nightmare. So you need another method of locking down these two very, very mobile heroes, which DK Phobos gives you that. Just having 5-second silence at level 1 during that night duration should be more than enough to try to secure them early game kills. But I'm excited, man. I haven't seen Shadow Shaman played in a while, and I do like the hero a lot. I think he brings a lot of value to the team.
And yeah, I mean, talking about the strengths of the Shaman, why do we not see it a lot? What is the bad part about having a Shaman on your team? What do you fall short to?
I think the main reason is he's not picked early because, like we mentioned earlier, he's not a super strong laner, and a 1v1 he's actually okay because his Ether Shock scales very well, and you can kind of farm and trade. His base damage isn't too bad. It's more just the fact that if you look at him now, he's 285 base move speed, and his attack range is only 500. So if we're thinking about supports that have the potential to zone and can go try versus try, he's not really top tier. I think he needs a slow start, which is a little bit ironic because VP are not the team who are known for starting slow. They like to go in and get a lot of kills, but if you get even a little ahead, you're going to take map control so fast with VP's lineup. That's the strength of their team. Between having Illidan on that Lesh, he's probably going to be getting a handful of points into Edict, and then FNG, he gets that 6, he gets some Mass Serpent Wards going. You could be seeing a lot of push come out from VP.
Indeed. Talking about the lineups, let's get ourselves acquainted as we step ourselves into the first match of the best of 5 here between Virtus Pro and Na'Vi. On the side of Na'Vi, it will be Seneko, of course, on pretty much his becoming the signature Winter Wyvern. It's going to be Havost on his Anti-Mage and reaching back to his roots. Artstyle's going to be on that Shaker this time, Dendi on the Puck, and that will leave, of course, Funnick here on the offlane on his Spirit Breaker. I'm ODPixel, joined by Draskell. Draskell, give us a lowdown what we're seeing from VP this time.
Well, so far, FNG is going to be handling the Shadow Shaman. Illidan is going to be playing up on that core Leshrac G, handling his mid Bristleback. Going to have Lil playing on the Rubik, and then off lane is going to be DK Phobos playing on the Night Stalker. And the lane's shaping up, I think, a little bit how we expected. I thought maybe VP would try some aggressive lane, but with the Shadow Shaman, it's just too much of a liability, and they're also dire, which makes the aggressive tri-lane in the first place not quite as good, because you don't have the potential to pull for yourself if you get into a bad spot and need extra experience. So they are going to be prioritizing getting that level 6 on FNG as soon as possible. And even just kind of having Lil around here, harassing Saneko, he has been known to snipe a courier or two, so I think getting him out of the area is going to be nice for G.
Indeed. I mean, looking at the lineups as well, who can we expect to see go more aggressive early? Is it going to be VP because of the Shaman pick? They want to, as soon as they hit 6, they want to start to push. Well, top lane, Funny's got to be careful here. FNG and Illidan getting the damage down. They're still just obviously level 1. Haven't got the amount of lockdown to deal with Funnick, but we're seeing already Funnick taking a lot of damage from that safe lane.
Well, there's one thing to keep in mind about Shadow Shaman as a support when it comes to zoning, is that he has pretty much the longest disable in the game at level 1, 2.75 seconds on Shackle. And if no one else is there to break it, it still deals damage on top of that. So as a solo zoner, he's actually pretty good. It just happens when other heroes are in the lane with the enemy offlane, like one support plus 1, which we've been seeing quite a bit of. Then it becomes a little bit more annoying, because channeling a Shackle could just become a liability for you. But in this particular lane, he'll actually be able to do well for himself.
Okay, mid lane. Well, Dendi trying to do his best here to zone out G. It's early days, but Dendi, of course, he's doing fine. He's doing well, being able to get that CS there with the orbs. And bottom lane, well, we've seen the supports just control the pull and moving in as well, trying to zone back Phobos. And we've already seen Havos really just going straight in with the mana break and just removing any potential of Phobos getting any harassment down. And now it could be Phobos that's in trouble. Artstar moving in as well. It's going to find the Fisher. Phobos is trapped up, and this looks like it might be the first blood. Will it be able to go to Havos? Oh, it's tangoing up, and actually they're not going to jump for that one. Phobos, very lucky to get away with his life there on the bottom lane.
Already getting sent back to base. The AM is very good against this.
He's got a charge here, and he's going to go, but FNG's just there in time with his Shackle. Illidan's turning up, and maybe they can turn this one. The split up's going to connect. One more right click will seal the deal, and first blood's going to go to VP there on the top lane, as what a clutch Shackle there from FNG.
Cannot underestimate that Shackle. If you are a solo offlaner, it does 40 damage a second for almost 3 seconds, so it's still a pretty sizable amount for a Spirit Breaker who probably has, I think, the highest starting HP of any hero.
Mid lane, Lil wants to go for more. Dendi's out of mana here for the orb. Can he get in range of the telekinesis? No, it looks like Dendi's a little bit too speedy. He's going to be okay. Saneko's there as well to back up the puck, so Lil's not going to find anything there with that rotation towards the mid.
And still, like, Lil doesn't necessarily have to find anything on his own. He's just trying to force a little bit of rotations. He knows that his middle lane is going to be fine.
Oh, look at this bottom lane. Artstar, he's looking for the body blocks. He's going to be able to find them. He's got the mana for the Fisher if he needs to, but it's still not going to be enough to bring down Phobos. But so they're managing to harass him back, and Phobos isn't really able to do that much against Havos, but was that never really the plan when you send a Night Stalker against the AM?
I think even just getting a handful of levels is okay. Like, you get like 4 or 5, get 1 or 2 points into your Hunter in the Night, and then you get 1 point into Silence.
Oh, look at this mid lane. VP, it's their turn to try and go for the body blocks here. Trying to allow FNG to get in range for the Shackle, but they couldn't quite
Even with
make
boots,
it.
he's such a snail. Like, only 335 move speed. This is one of the reasons why you don't see the hero moving around a whole heck of a lot either. So even with that first blood gold, he's not able to get in range to help out. But as far as Phobos goes, it's not really huge for him to get the items as much as it is just some experience. Like, anywhere from levels 4 to 5 would be good for him during the first or either second night. First night's going to be rolling around soon. And even with level 3, you can still be a nuisance, because the Void Slow is for 4 seconds, and you can silence for 5. That's enough to, like, just rotate and get a kill on maybe even Dendi in mid.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, talking about the rotations, we've been seeing them coming out a lot from the supports, at least on the side of VP. Farm-wise for both sides, looking pretty even. You look at the 2 position ones in the mid lane. The trades are going fine, and I think both teams are going to feel very, fairly comfortable with this early game so far.
It's a little bit slow, I think, compared to what we were used to yesterday watching the Winter Bracket Finals, but given the fact that there's an AM on one team and a Shadow Shaman on the other, both of those heroes kind of make the early game slow. You don't want to try to fight on AM that much unless you absolutely have to, and for VP FNG, he really wants that level 6, like, really, really quickly, so not really a surprise to see a bit of a slow-paced game at the start, but I assure you there will be action.
I hope so. I mean, you come to expect it from the sides of Na'Vi versus VP. But as you said, it's early days, and the first game of a best of 5, you don't want to go all out straight away. You want to kind of save some of that and just kind of, check out each side and wait for the other to make a jump, make a mistake that you can try and turn around and capitalize on. Artstar was making a movement towards the mid lane there, seeing if he could find a figure. not going to quite be the case here as G. Keeping himself safe. He's got a couple of points in the passive as well. It's going to be very hard for the Puck and the Earthshaker to take down as a duo at this point. And I guess that's one of the great things about having a Bristle back in the mid lane. He's a pretty hard hero to gank once he gets a few levels under his belt.
Pretty hard, definitely. I mean, just the fact is, with the heroes that they have especially, like, they don't have that much damage. Like, Winter Wyvern does some damage from Arctic Burn, and Splinter Blast is okay. But until Dendi gets levels, their burst damage is pretty minimal. They would probably need a charge from the Spear Picker as well to be able to do anything, and it looks like that's actually exactly what's going to happen here.
TP coming in as well from Seneko. 4 heroes on the side of Na'Vi. They want to go for G. G's going to pop down the wall. He's going to see this one coming in, and Funnick's going to cancel that. And that's quite a rotation there from the side of Na'Vi that, for the time being, at least not going to achieve a lot. DK Phobos coming in to back up G just in case Na'Vi want to go, and they do. They're going to drop the Dream Coil here onto Bristlepack, but again, the Crippling Fear onto Artstar, stopping him from being able to get out that fissure. It means that Na'Vi, they just can't pursue it.
It just goes to show again, I mentioned this earlier, but Na'Vi really respect G as a player because they are sitting 4 here.
Comes around, and here we go with the shackles onto Dendi. Have they got the lockdown? No, Funny's going to charge through, bashing back the side of VP, making it hard for them to catch out Dendi. G here with the double damage though. He's going to chase down Funnick here. Funnick's going to look to try and deny himself the H's. He's not going to make it though, because Little there with the Fade Bolt will be able to secure the kill onto Funnick.
I guess it goes from not anything happening to almost 5 versus 5 mid within 2 minutes. Must be Virtus Pro versus Na'Vi, right?
Pretty much. It's
yeah. I just think that these types of situations are just, it's like respect to G's mid. Like every single game he does so much. Fissure?
He's going to trap G, but Dendi, he's got about 3 stacks of Quill Sprays on him by the looks of it.
He's got a 17 charge wand. He's fine.
Is he going to try and go for something here? He's just throwing the orb and the rift out. Yeah, there we go. Pops the charges. And yeah, they still can't kill G at the moment. It's just a little bit too hard. The farm for both of those. And of course, Illidan at the moment is still pretty even. But I guess, as you said, the problem with this anti-mage is there's going to be a point where he gets that Battle Fury and he's going to be farming at a level that the Leshrac just won't be able to keep up with.
He's been left completely alone, so Na'Vi are actually okay with making a handful of trades that maybe don't favor them in the early game because they're making the supports walk around the map, and that just means more time for Havos to do his thing here in the woods and go back to the lane. So first night, probably not going to be very successful for Phobos, but he is starting to soak a little bit more experience. I think, again, it's just going to be a slow start. The supports on VP need levels, so does the offlaner. And for Na'Vi, they really just want to try to farm on Havos as much as they can before anything really starts kicking off. So a little bit more passivity, I think. Maybe around 10-15 minutes, we're going to start seeing a lot of things pick up.
I mean, at the moment here, we see the supports from the side of VP return to create some kind of safe haven here for Illidan. As Na'Vi do have 2 out there at the moment, both Funnick and, of course, the Shaker art style there, seeing if you can find a Fissure from the sidelines. But still, yeah, even though it's, we saw aggression towards the mid lane, both teams, I gotta be honest, this seems to be the safest that they've been playing all tournament, and as you were saying earlier, understandably so with regards to some of the heroes in their drafts.
I think a lot of it is Na'Vi testing the waters, seeing what VP want to do. Because they did win the series yesterday, so maybe they were going to change their game plan against Na'Vi. So Na'Vi picked something that's maybe not totally conventional for them, and Funnick getting chased down here.
Yeah, he has got this charge here available. He's going to go for it. The split off won't be there to stop it, but FNG here with the Hex. Na'Vi, they're coming in. Dendi's got the Dream Coil onto 2. There's going to be the Shackle from FNG holding Dendi back, but he still gets out the orb, moves forward. They brought down Shadow Shame, and they're going to look for more, but now the split off, the telekinesis, dragging Dendi up to high ground. He'll just try to find it. Dendi, though, he's still alive here, won't be able to juke that one out, does go down. And it ends up being a 1-for-1 there, and one that, well, VP are going to be happy with, and VP might find more here, G. He's going to find the body blocks on Seneko. Seneko going up to the high ground with the Arctic Burn, and well, they're not going to be able to chase that. Seneko gets back to the tier 1 in the mid lane, but still, I've got to be honest, in terms of early game skirmishes, it seems to be favouring VP, but at the same time, you're drawing attention away from the anti-mage, and Na'Vi, they're going to be happy with that.
I think in the core versus core scenario, Na'Vi definitely have the advantage. Like, anti-mage is pretty much just that. He doesn't care about magic really at all. So the fact that he's been left to his own devices, he's already about halfway to his battle fury, maybe even a tiny bit more than that. When he gets there, he's just going to farm up a Vlad's and a Manta, or a Manta and a BKB within like 5 to 10 minutes easy, depending on how the game goes. Maybe even faster if they start taking some successful fights or manage to push a tower of their own. But when that happens, the Leshrac becomes like a bomb for the team, right? If he gets caught out, Manta is popped, he gets disabled once or twice, and Havos is free to hit him, you can actually just kill your entire team if you get mana voided. So it's a little bit scary for VP to have to think about that, but as long as they abuse FNG during the mid game and make sure that he gets that level 6, which right now it's only 4. So I think maybe prioritizing him getting levels a little bit more could be a good thing for them, because I think getting these tier 1s is going to be so important in stopping Havos from just getting that free farm. If they're not going to actually try to gank him, they need to try to get map control instead.
Talking about trying to gank, Na'Vi here with the smoke up, Seneko, Dendi, and Artstar heading towards the top lane. Maybe seeing if they can bait something out here with Funnick. VP, they've got just the Shaman and the Rubik here at the moment. But it looks like they're going to keep themselves frosty, keep themselves back. Question is, can Na'Vi catch them out? They're heading straight for them, and can Fisher set this one up here? Seneko. He's going to spot them out now, and well, Lil knows something's up. The pings come out, and doesn't look like Na'Vi will be able to catch anyone out there with that smoke on the top lane.
It's a bit unfortunate. A lot of movement coming out from Na'Vi so far has not really been fruitful. But again, like you mentioned, it's still buying a little bit more time for Havos. He's still farming. He's actually very close to his Battle Furies, so his timing will probably be around 11.5, 12 minutes if he continues this rate of farm, and that's not bad at all. So I think he'll be happy with that. Phobos, on the other hand, though, as an offlaner, he's still getting a lot of experience. He is level 6, almost level 7 even. And that means that the next night that rolls around, which will be within a minute or so, he'll be able to be a nuisance to heroes like Dendi, even the anti-mage. You can chase down anyone with a 5-second silence normally who has mobility spells to be able to escape. You're just not going to have the same kind of opportunity you would otherwise. And we can also see VP are now starting to prioritize their supports a bit more. FNG's been given a solo lane for a little while. He's also making his way towards 6.
And top lane just moving in on Funnick, trying to get him back. You're talking about the Phobos doing pretty well. The Funnick himself, he's found the levels also, and he's going to be fairly potent when these fights do eventually kick off. And Na'Vi, they're going to go for round 2 here. They want to make something happen. Dendi's got the Dream Coil, and he's also got Artstar right next to him. If they can lead him with a Funnick charge, they should be able to find a kill potentially here. It's going to be a hard one, though. They're going to be fighting under this tier 1. We might see TP reactions coming out for the side of VP. Straight away onto the Demon. Oh, they've actually lost Dendi. There's FNG, blows him up. And this is not the kind of gank that the side of Na'Vi wanted. Funnick will be able to TP out from the side. The splitter was hazarded by Illidan, but it's not going to be on point. And well, again, another rotation that Na'Vi, this time, they don't just find nothing, they lose the puck.
Illidan's reaction time was actually so fast that he managed to turn on Pulse Nova at the same time that they were going in. So Dendi basically walks into Pulse Nova, gets Ether Shocked, and just explodes. Like, he died immediately. And here come Serpent Wards. This should be more or less a free tower coming out from VP, and maybe even a free kill on Artstyle.
Yep.
Not sure what he was doing there, but
he's got the stolen blink already from the anti-mage, so
yeah.
that's pretty big for this Rubik. They're able to find those pickoffs, and as you said, the tower as well. And 12.5 minutes in, I think this is the point of the game, Andy, where we're going to start to see VP try to get the ball rolling.
This is when they're the strongest too. Mass Serpent Wards are only a 2-minute cooldown, so it's not even that bad. You just go to a tower, and tier 1s, later on into the game, you might not even consider dropping the wards for. So if you're trading with the enemy, you can force them back by killing the first tower and then dropping wards on the second. It actually is very powerful to make sure that the enemy team has to come back instead of trying to get anything off the map, especially against heroes like Anti-Mage. You can actually force him to defend his own base at a tier 3 very early on, because he'll never be able to out-rat Mass Serpent Wards in a push from a Leshrac at an early stage in the game. So this pick coming in from VP proving to be pretty good so far.
That's exactly what the side of VP need to do, because 12.5 minutes in, Anti-Mage did finish off the Battle Fury now, so we're going to see Havos with that farming to his full potential, and it's kind of going to put the game on a bit of a timer, because, as you were saying, VP, they don't really want to take this late against Na'Vi.
Definitely not. I think if it goes super late, Na'Vi definitely have the advantage. You're going to have Spirit Breaker. He transitions into a pretty decent core. We know that Seneko is an amazing Wyvern player, so he's going to get good ults off in the late game, especially against multiple melee heroes on VP. And Funnick getting caught out here.
Yeah,
nice defensive fissure.
With the Crippling Fear, there's nowhere for him to run. An FNG there with a blast to the face. That's, again, another pick-off for VP. And at the moment, VP, even though they weren't able to shut down the anti-mage, it kind of seems like they're shutting down the rest of the team of Na'Vi pretty well.
It's the other way to deal with AM. Instead of actually ganking him, you just crush the rest of the team so hard and take all the towers that your farm rate just simply isn't enough. It's not like Havost is not farming high CS.
Oh, he's going to get Hex. Can FNG find the Shackle? He's moving forward. He won't be able to find it. There's Havost able to blink, but there's a blink from Lil, of course, as well, closing in. Can they find the Havost? No, he's going to be able to blink again, and it looks like he's only just going to be able to get away. He is very lucky.
Very greedy from FNG, though, going for the Ether Shock instead of just hexing and immediately throwing out the Shackle. I think if he had used that combination of skills, it most likely would have killed him instead of trying to get the maximum amount of damage, because he got into tree line even with the Hex movement speed. So I don't really know if that was the right play, but fortunately for Na'Vi, he'll be able to make it out of Artstyle again. Oh my god.
Indeed, that smoke up there for VP proving to be a little bit more fruitful than the smokes from Na'Vi that we've seen this game. And after that, VP, they're going to head straight into the Roche pit.
They're actually going to snowball so hard. Like,
if they get it with the wards, and they certainly will.
Yeah, there's no way that Na'Vi can contest this. Not even a snowball's chance. Like, this is an insanely strong mid-game timing for Virtus Pro. It's only 15 minutes in. This is around the time that we mentioned we should start seeing a lot of things happen, because all the supports on the side of VP have their levels, and the Rubik even has Stolen Fissure. So, like, G with the Vanguard already making his way towards that SNY, pretty standard build for him. Havos needs more before he can actually start defending. Like, I doubt he TPs to any of these towers after Roshan is already taken by VP.
And with that, indeed, VP, they're just going to head down to the bottom and look for the push. And we're talking about the Havost anti-mage. At what point in his item build you kind of feel that we will see him start to join the defense?
He needs Manta, at the very least. He might even need a BKB. Like, sometimes, if you're really hard pressured to go to a fight, you even skip the Manta entirely, and you just go straight up Magic Immunity, because it's the only feasible way that you'll be able to stay in a team fight without getting disabled and dying. And right now, there is a Crippling Fear, which is a very long silence, and there's a Leshrac stun, a Hex, a Shackle, and a Lift. And plus the Rubik has Blink. So Manta might not even be enough on its own. Really depends on if he feels pressured enough to go for that item, or if he thinks that he'll be able to delay the game and relies on his team, in which case he'll probably go Manta.
We're going to see bottom lane G and Illidan moving in. Got the back of the Night Stalker and the Rubik coming in as well down towards this bottom lane. Well, the question is, are Na'Vi going to be able to defend this one? G moving forward, just seeing if he can get any of the go onto Seneca. They're trying to slow this one down, Na'Vi, but, well, VP, I mean, pretty resilient here, just sticking around on this bottom lane. At the same time, Na'Vi, they're looking for a push of their own here. I mean, on the top lane, you have got a Vost and Funnick. We're able to take down the tier 1, and they're going to be hitting away at the tier 2 now as well. FNG's going to move in. He's going to try and catch out a Vost, and here we go again. The TP's flying in from VP. There's going to be a charge onto FNG. That's going to allow her Vost to blink away, but it looks like Funnick will he have his life? Have they got anything to stop it? Yes, they've got the Split Earth. They will find the Spirit Breaker, but very nice charge there, allowing her Vost to escape.
Had that charge not come in, he was dead to rights. Not a chance he was making it out of that one. So, very nicely done for Funnick, sacrificing himself. But still, Havos very far away from being in fighting shape. And he is going to opt to go for at least a Yasha for now. Not sure if he's going to finish the entire Manta or not, but he is on the road to recovery here. He's still 165 CS at 17 minutes. Like, 10 CS a minute, considering the kind of pressure that VP have been throwing out in the last couple of minutes. Very, very good level of farm on the AM. So, there is hope for Na'Vi. It's just going to be a little bit rough for the next, like, 10 to 15 minutes. The VP's team is very strong snowballing against Seneco.
Seneco going to get caught out here by the telekinesis, and will they be able to bring him down with a crippling fear? Winterwyver's not going to be able to do anything there in that situation, gets taken down. Vost now heading towards the mid lane. The question is, do Na'Vi want to try and find a pick-off at the back of this? It's going to be very hard to fight into. The Serpent wards are available, and I think Na'Vi just let this go. They're going to have to sack this tier 1 in the mid lane.
If they see that Na'Vi aren't defending the tower, they just save the wards and they drop them on the tier 2. It's a very standard Shadow Shaman play, because if you get greedy with your wards and you drop them, it just means that you wouldn't be able to get the other tower. And if the enemy team's not going to contest you, why waste the ability in the first place? So here comes most likely the ward drop from FNG soon. They're going to pop the second glyph. Refresh after killing the tier 1. And I don't know if Na'Vi can do anything. Like, what did they do to defend this push?
I think they're kind of wondering about themselves.
Are they actually saving wards for base? They might even be saving them for high ground. That's like the ultimate greed.
18 minutes in as well.
But it's actually going to work. This tower's already below half health.
I mean, you got to be honest. Looking at the draft that the team's brought to the game, it's working out.
They're just going to go high ground.
It's pretty much textbook performance of the playstyle that they were looking for. And tier 2 down. Here we go. Arstyle's on the front, but he's getting caught out here by the slow, and now the Split Earth. There will be the Embrace trying to help him out for Seneca, but it's not enough.
He's got buyback, so that's one thing. And here come the wards.
I mean, for the side of Na'Vi, if they do lose Rex early in this game, it's going to be so hard for them to play against.
Yeah, I mean, the one problem with it is the AM usually is the one who doesn't want to farm the lane that's worth less. You just want to be able to shove it out.
Oh, Na'Vi, they want to fight back this time. There's going to be the pick-off onto the Rubik now with the Dream Coil onto FNG. They should be able to find more. Nether Strike, the Bash is flying through. It will be a double kill there for Dendi. So this time, Na'Vi able to successfully, well, defend the base at least. They did lose the tier 2, which isn't great at this early stage of the game, but at least they find something off the back, and they might even find more here. There's going to be a charge through onto G, but they're going to cancel it. They don't want to go too greedy at this point, playing from behind.
Nice control coming in from Na'Vi, not going for a little bit extra. G's way, way too tanky to try to dive like that. But I do want to mention that VP, when they back up, if you're playing against Spirit Breaker and Puck, you cannot split. Like, you need to back as a unit. Like, every single person on your team needs to stick together, because if the Spirit Breaker charges in and you're by yourself, you're dead. So when they were like walking 2 heroes up the high ground near the ward spot when they drop a little bit earlier, and then the other ones were walking into the jungle, that's a perfect time for a Spirit Breaker to start a fight and get picks. So I think if VP were a little bit more disciplined about how they took that retreat, they might have not lost anything. But again, very good for Na'Vi that they're able to get those kills, because God, they needed them.
Vost, he's getting a bit of space at the moment, just walking around the enemy jungle trying to find what he can, and thanks to farming that fight. I mean, we see on the graph, the swing round is certainly there back towards Na'Vi. And it's a question what they can do with this. And well, now Vost, he has got the Manta style finish. So you're saying about the fighting potential of the anti-mage, and now 20 minutes in, he's essentially come on in terms of being able to offer something to the defense.
I feel like that timing for VP was even more important after having seen how fast Havos got his second item out. Normally, that push, I think, is meant to break the high ground, but maybe some miscommunication for VP, not deciding that they wanted to go all in. Because in reality, that wasn't even 5 members of Na'Vi. It was like Funnick going in, and FNG gonna get caught by a fissure. He'll be fine. But I still feel like VP...
boss? He's just gonna throw the void down, and well, he's not gonna use the crippling fear here. He feels that the rest of his team are a little bit too far behind to chase that one down. And I mean, this is gonna be a situation that's probably gonna end up a little bit differently very shortly, because if we look at the Shaman, he is very close to his blink dagger. FNG.
Having that initiation is huge. It's definitely one of those things where if you get 1 or 2 extra picks and then you have your wards available for the high ground push, you just get free racks. Like, that's what it's going to boil down to soon. And that tier 3 mid is looking pretty shabby at about a third health right now. So if they do find that opportunity, I think VP will be more than happy to go ahead and just charge down a lane and try to rax Na'Vi. And I think that's also kind of what has to be their plan. Even though G is still farming decently, you're not going to farm at the rate of that anti-mage. Like, no way are you keeping up with Havos at this point. And if he gets his hands on another item, maybe he goes back for the BKB, or maybe he thinks that he's safe enough as is and goes like Basher or something. You can just go into the back and pick off the supports like FNG before they get to your base. And Artstyle getting caught out. Again, Artstyle, please. Oh,
yes,
nice.
Seneko is going to be there to help out the Shaker. And we'll keep Artstyle alive there, holding back Phobos there with the curse. But well, maybe here's where we see the push. FNG's got the walls. It's going to drop them here onto the tier 3. And
G's just not even looking at the tower. Like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. He just wants the wards not to tank the damage, so like you get the most damage output from it, but he's already forced back. Blink forward!
Oh, they've caught Dendy here. They're not going to be able to follow through. Artstyle just popping the Echo Slam. Very prematurely, but it's going to be enough to get G back off the tower. But look at this. Illidan's just coming in with the Edict. The damage that's being done to the racks. Now Funnick going forward. Will get the bash onto Phobos, but Dendy gets blown up. Funnick, he's going to be kept alive here by the Embrace for the time being. They have lost Shaman, and Havos turning up to the fight to do his best he can with the Manta style, but it's a double kill for Illidan. 3 heroes down on the side of Na'Vi. They're losing the racks in the mid lane as well. The blast will finish off Phobos there on the Night Stalker, but triple kill for Illidan. Buybacks coming out from Dendy and Seneko, but they've already lost half the racks here in the mid lane, and VP, that's it. It's a pretty good siege for them 22 minutes into the game.
That actually could have gone a lot worse for Na'Vi, everything considering. When Havos blinked in aggressively, I thought he might even die. But fortunately, he was able to make his way out of the fight. He might have mana voided a little bit early. I think if he saved it for maybe Illidan instead, when he was lower on mana, he probably would have gotten more out of it. Or not just like, use it on him, but wait until he's lower, more or less. But either way, they defend at least their melee racks, the more important of the two, no doubt about that. Their lanes will still be pushing in, though, a little bit. And I think the next point of contention outside of that racks is going to be Dendy.
Ooh, look at this. Havos turning out wants to fight, blows up FNG there. Too much damage for the Shaman to deal with. And the question is, can they turn this one around and chasing? But there's going to be the charge from Funnick flying past the Leshrac. And, well, Dendy's coming back into this fight. Havos, look at the damage that he's doing. It's going to be enough to bring down the Lesh. Lesh is going to be back very quickly at about 14 Bloodstone charges. G going in on Funnick. And now with the curse onto G, this is looking very good for Na'Vi if they can continue to fight. Havos is blinking forward very aggressively. Will get held back by telekinesis. But again, the embrace from Seneko, keeping Havos alive for this fight. He's going to be able to blink himself away. Will they be able to pick him off? VP, they're kind of trapped over here by the Fisher. Triple kill for Illidan though, as he just waltzes round, cleans up the side of Na'Vi. And at the end of the day, VP had nothing to worry about because the Leshrac is getting a little bit out of control.
It was looking a little bit worrisome for a second there. I mean, they start that fight by a double coil from Dendy. They immediately kill FNG. I don't think even a single spell was cast by him before he went down. And all of a sudden Havos may be feeling a little bit too manly there, just goes too deep. But also keep in mind, he's more than halfway to his BKB. So once he gets that, no one on the side of VP can touch him, because the Bristleback is not going to be able to stay on him. He'll just blink away, and he will find the supports, and he will probably target FNG, I think, first and foremost. It's too hard to go on Lil, because he's always going to have that stolen blink, and if you pick off FNG before the push happens, like, the VP don't have the same kind of high ground potential without that Shadow Shaman available.
Here we go, back onto the push. Serpent wants to drop. They want to finish off this mid set of racks, and Sneko there, just trying to force the back of the Arctic burn from the air. It looks like they should be able to get this one unless Dandy can look to jump in, but as you said, it's going to be hard for them to do so. The Serpent Wards will finish off the racks, and that's going to be the mid racks down for the side of Na'Vi. 25 minutes in, VP keeping the momentum flowing, and it's just a question of how much Havos can do, and as you said, they're going to be looking to that BKB before they're going to feel confident for him to jump in as aggressively as we saw him do there by Roshan.
Even being a racks down for Na'Vi is not so bad, considering they have the AM at their disposal. It's just like double rack, that's going to start to be a bit of a concern, because it means VP are going to have a much easier time just getting Roche all the time. They're going to be going for it now. Na'Vi, their lanes are kind of pushed in, so it's difficult for them to rotate, and they're even showing the Rubik on the map right now. Lil with that stolen blink going to be more than okay. And I think this Aegis probably just goes back to Illidan, I would imagine. I think she's pretty tanky right now. Maybe he doesn't feel like he needs it. And no one picked it up yet? There we go.
Na'Vi were charging forward there, but as soon as the Aegis was picked up, realizing that this might not be the fight for them, they are smoked up. They do have everything online in terms of the Echo Slam, the Dream Coil, the potential to jump in, but it looks like they're just going to wait for VP to come to them. Still on the Shaker at the moment. He is closing in on his own Blink Dagger. He's got 1800 gold at the moment. And VP, looks like they're going to be happy and content with just beginning to push, and if they can take this tier 2, move forward to the tier 3, they're going to have the wards back online in just over 20 seconds on FNG. And well, being one set of racks down might not be the end of the game for Na'Vi, but being 2 down, that's really going to hurt 26 minutes in if they find it. And Rubik, he's also finished off an Aghanim Scepter here.
The Aghanims this early is actually insane. There's a lot of pretty useful things to steal on this team. You can get Charge, you can get Sonico spells, all of them are pretty much good. Splinter Blast, Arctic Burn, Cold Embrace, all great steals. Puck Orb is good, Waning Rift is pretty good against the AM. Yeah, there's like a plethora of things that you can steal, and it makes him tankier too, which I think is important up against the AM, who's going to be trying to hunt those supports in the backline, especially before you get to base. I think Na'Vi will eventually get to a point where their only option is to try to catch out VP on the map, because if the wards get set up on your high ground, you've essentially already taken a ton of base damage. Like, even if a tower doesn't die or a Rax doesn't drop, it's going to take a lot of damage and clearing to try to get rid of those, because you only have 2 ranged heroes, right? You have Puck and you have Winter Wyvern, so when they're going high ground, you can't just send a bunch of others, like supports, in to try to hit those wards down. You only have melee heroes other than the 2 to deal with it, and that's not good, because it puts you in a much farther position to get caught out by VP with those blinks.
And we've got a couple of fighting games coming out on the side of Na'Vi. The fact that Havos just about a minute ago has got the completed BK, and now Artstyle, he's got the Blink Dagger as well. So as the game does tick on, it is going to be harder and harder for VP to break the high ground.
The 1 Rax isn't the end of the game at all for Na'Vi, and they even picked the AM after having seen FNG Shadow Shaman pick, so they're feeling confident in their ability to hold off long enough for this Havos AM to really get off the ground and start making some stuff happen, and he's not too far off from that. That's the thing, VP feel the pressure right now. They know they need to keep going. They cannot let up.
Oh, G moving forward here. There's going to be Sneko just TPing out in time as Illidan was looking for the split earth into the tree line. They've found themselves the tier 2 on the top lane, and VP being able to take down all tier 2s, and here we go, up to the high ground, wards are dropped, and Illidan popping the newly found BKB that he's just picked up, trying to create space for the wards to go to work onto the tier 3, and he's certainly doing so. Na'Vi, when are they going to jump in for this? They're going to wait until the BKB's gone. They was looking for the Nether Strike, but Illidan there with the Yules, holding back Funnick, and VP, they have taken away this tier 3, and that looks like that's what they're going to be happy with at this point in time, and they're going to back up.
I like that decision a lot, actually, not to commit to the fight completely. Normally when you see an Aegis carrier with BKB, you usually save it until after you respawn to pop it and have an escape mechanism. So for instance, you can just BKB and teleport out because Illidan has bots, but instead, he uses the BKB solely as a method to make Na'Vi run away so they just can't hit the wards at all, and they get a guaranteed tower, which means the next time they do that, Illidan could hold on to his BKB for as long as he wants, because there's no longer a choke point that Na'Vi can fight around with their Winter Wyvern and the Echo from the Shaker, right? So they've opened up space to allow Illidan to get farther inside to be able to not get caught out by those AoE spells. So all in all, a very, very nice trade there from VP. And Na'Vi still looking for that one team fight that they need. And I don't know if they're going to be able to fully come back off of just one fight, but two for sure. And I think they would be more than fine.
Well, VP have smoked up here. They are essentially smoking in blindly as they didn't have any vision. They do manage to drop down a dire ward there onto the cliff. But not spotting anyone out. Looks like they're just going to be happy with trying to keep these lanes constantly pressured. Now, Illidan, well, he's just going to go straight up here onto the racks. He wants to give it a go, and what are Na'Vi going to be able to do to stop this? BKB's going to be popped straight away, and wow, with the Earth Split Earth onto Artstyle, he's getting low, but Seneca's going to be there keeping him alive. It's not enough. The physical damage going through at the end of it all, and Illidan's going to be on a dominating kill streak. The fight's kicking off. Phoenix Charge trade in. Hervo's trying to do what he can with the BKB. Will be able to take down FNG. The Dream Call from Dendi just holding them back, but it doesn't really matter because VP, they want to continue to fight, and Hervo's just has to blink away, and G will just turn his attention back to the racks, and it just doesn't seem like the side of Na'Vi can stop this. Fortifications coming out, but this looks like it may be the second set of racks going down. They also just catch out Dendi there in the mid lane with the telekinesis. Avost will be able to bring down the Leshrac, but he's got Aegis. He's going to be coming back for round 2. Crippling Fear onto Avost. Zaneko's trying to do his best to save him, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to lose Avost. Buybacks coming out from both Dendi and Avost. They've got to do something here. Zaneko's being blown up by G. Getting low. One more cross brace will do it. There we go. Double kill for G on the Bristleback. Avost, he manages to start with the grab. G's just finding a triple kill. It's only Dendi and Avost left alive here. Dendi going forward very aggressively. But they've got to be careful because G, he's coming in behind them. It looks like, is he going to be able to stick around? Well, Avost maybe even thinking about going for it. Funix now back on the pitch. He's got the charge onto G. But do they really want to try and fight this Bristleback? He's got the backup of this Lesh in the Night Stalker. They're going to go for it here. Na'Vi, Kill Scepter onto Avost, holding him back. They're going to be able to find the Forest Split Earth. And now with the Crippling Fear on the Funix, this might not have been what the Na'Vi are looking for. They've lost the Spirit Breaker. Dendi's going to have to orb himself away. And they essentially just throw away a free kill on the Spirit Breakers to the side of VP after the back of that bit of a mishap there, losing a second set of racks. And a lot of, well, 2 buybacks coming out as well. The gold swing and the XP swing, massive for VP. And they might just find Avost. He's going to get caught out by the Split Earth. And
why didn't he BKB?
That might be the nail in the coffin. Avost dying back 90 seconds. And GG is called. VP, they do it. 26-9. I mean, they just destroyed Na'Vi.
It was a little bit weird to me seeing the AM pick after having seen the Shadow Shaman, because it's very obvious what VP's game plan was as soon as that pick happened, right? Like, they want to really death ball, base their strategy around using Mass Serpent Wards and Illidan to break high ground with the Edict, and, you know, obviously you got really tanky early Bloodstone into BKB after he even got the Yules. It was a very well thought out strategy coming out from VP, and Na'Vi, they had a lot of confidence picking up that AM saying, we can buy the time we need, we got a Puck, we got Spirit Breaker, we got heroes who